Live, deep in the heart of West Texas, it's the James Hendricks Show. Talent being rented through God. Hey, guys. Now, normally I do a rundown of the news, and I am. But I'm only covering one news story today. From Newsmax. This is one of those plain truth booyahs right in the face of left-leaning wokeism in America. There's an Alaskan congressional race, and Sarah Palin is running in it. A poll shows her being ahead in that race. We can praise God for that. Now, I have always admired Sarah Palin, respected her. And when McCain nominated her for vice presidential running mate, I thought that was an amazing deal. Now, I gotta be honest with you. I wasn't starry-eyed about John McCain. I really wasn't. And so, well, you know how it is. Things happen. And so, the crazy thing is, I was hoping at some point she would make a re-entry in politics. Because she's one of those plain truth that takes a reactive culture a little... Gotcha! Plain truth, guys. Plain truth. The American dream is not dead. I'm telling you guys, the American dream is not dead. I can sit there and pontificate for the longest time why it's not dead. Number one, capitalism. It doesn't matter what these wokest left people are trying to do in bringing us into a totalitarian system. We have a chance to form capitalism. Free markets. But now, look. You know what I have said. My basic opinion on the airwaves. I am a conservative federalist where it comes nationally. Now, locally, I vote a certain political party, and I'm not going to say what it is on the airwaves. Okay? Because both parties have holes in their system. Plain true. Holes in their systems. You have the Dick Cheneys and the Mitt Romneys who say that they're conservative. But lately they've been voting. Now, don't get me wrong. I admire Mitt Romney. I always admired Mitt Romney. But I think his pursuit for D.C. has made him a little bit woke. Now, I've always admired Mitt Romney. The thing is, though, sometimes the people that you admire, they got a little chink in their armor. I hear people say, well, Jimmy, he's the resident scriptorian. He's a righteous man. But I tell you, sometimes in my private life, I'm not always the greatest. There's times I cuss like a sailor. And a lot of it has to do with my rough and tumble, growing up in my rough and tumble oil field background. Now, don't get me wrong. When I went off to college, I tried to shed that from my lifestyle. But that wasn't easy because I did something crazy in the spring of 1995, taking in as a roommate Charlie Nation. Now, ain't that something? We'd stay, a night or two in his dorm and a night or two in my dorm. Kevin, I think mostly in my dorm because he couldn't stand his that much sometimes. But it was crazy. We were like almost inseparable. Thing is, I'm glad his parents and my parents kind of stepped in. It's like, Charlie, you're on your way out of here, and then Jimmy, you got to do better. I've sown my wild oats. I still get a little wild every once in a while, but not as much as I used to. Because you got to admit, the 90s was a bit hairy time. And one thing I will say is that the American dream isn't dead. And I think it's time for conservatives to draft another contract with America. And let's get the wokeness out of both parties so we can have a decent discussion. You know? Yeah, sure, I'll vote a certain way in the ballot box. But I am a conservative federalist. And you might wonder why. Well, there's one thing that Republicans stand for that I have to say, being a person with experience, I'm a little leery on. I'm a little hairy on. Because one of the things, that they're all peeved about is Biden wanting to do, the student loan forgiveness thing. Guys, forgive me. But what if you've gone to school and say you've taken some ill advice on your career trajectory? And maybe you have a disability and you can't pay those loans because of the ill advice you took. And that's one reason why I want to be a motivational speaker and catch these kids while they're young and say, hey, you don't need to do this. America needs more motivation. And so, yeah, I covered one news story. I'm happy that Sarah Palin is up in the polls up there in Alaska. It's kind of like, praise God. It's a sign the American dream isn't dead. Number 2, Judale-Christian principles. Too many people, doesn't matter what your political persuasion on, there's too many people that want to take us away from our godly heritage. But there's enough people in this world, in this country, to say, no more. I'm a Texan, y'all. I'm a Texan. And I'll tell you something. Straight. From an early age, I was raised on the Bible. King James Bible. The first time though I read it, I was 12. I began reading it. I was 12 years old. It's amazing. It opens up the whole world up there. And Theodore Roosevelt, he said this. He said the knowledge of the Bible is more valuable than a college education. And this student loan thing is case in point. Because the problem is, this reactive culture that is going on in colleges, and it doesn't matter what the political perspective is, what partisan side it is. There's too many people that are saying can't in these colleges and indoctrinating people with mush. But I was lucky. I had a group of friends that could help me see past the mush. I'm playing truth. What can I say? Because God knows what's good for us. And so He's got us in this wonderful country. But we've got to start living right by Him. And knowing the American dream ain't dead. It ain't dead. Because I'll tell you something right now. I don't know exactly where I would be without the Lord helping me and being on my side. Because He's there for us all the way. Every step of the way. He is. Because He cares about us. And He loves us. He really does. And the thing is, you can sit there and listen and watch to any run-of-the-mill news program. And there's no motivation. The James Hendrick Show. I'm here to tell people what you can do. And just sit there instead of just sitting there and just reporting, crap about what you can't do. And getting people living in fear. I mean, come on. We were made for much more than that. You know that. And I know that. So let's be smart, okay? Let's think smart. God's called you to do, be, and have your very best. I think I could have been a radio talk show host if I had had the right associations, and that's what's important. The right associations is necessary to be a success in this world. Okay? And you can't say that it is, that it isn't, because that's the truth. Then that's the honest to good truth, because you can be a success, but you've got to have the right associations. I love it when technology don't want to cooperate. Was going to play a little song snippet, but I don't necessarily have the equipment for all that now, unfortunately. But you guys know how I feel. Life is two things in my book. Having grown up the way I was. Life is two things. Life is a battle, and life is an adventure. The question is it depends on which road you take. If you take the reactive approach against these woke people, it's a battle. But if you take the proactive, preactive thing, hey, come on the adventure with me. Wrong button, wrong button. Come on the adventure with me. Because you guys know what's best for America. Now, I hope you enjoy listening to the James Hendrick Show. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and become a part of receiving most daily updates. This is Jimi Hendrix saying until next time, take care and God bless you. God bless each and every one of you. Care about you guys. I'll be back tomorrow with more wonderful news.